I'm Tally Woe, and tonight I'm rocking a turtleneck.
Yeah, I like when you like this, Daddy.
Let's let's get into some videos.
Every night when you go to bed, just when you're just falling off into sleep, consciousness is disconnecting. The next period of your brain operation while your consciousness is disconnected is theta, which is the same brain function as in the first 7 years. So if you put a pair of earphones on at night with a program of what you would like to be true in your life, as soon as your conscious mind disconnects, that program is playing. It's not playing into your conscious mind. That's shut off. It's now going straight into the subconscious mind. So it's called auto-hypnosis. You don't need to go see a hypnotherapist. You just have to pick out what program would you like to have that you don't have.
Sounds kind of like the Matrix. You know how Neo was sitting in the chair and they plugged him in and just started loading karate moves in his head. So the subconscious mind kind of works in the same way. That's why they say you do not watch TV when you're asleep unless you're watching something that you want to manifest into your own brain.
There was a study done in Ohio State University where they were feeding rabbits diets that were extremely high in cholesterol. And they found to their amazement there was one group of rabbits that never got the high cholesterol levels. After a while, they found out that the technician who was feeding these rabbits, instead of just throwing the food at them, he would stroke them and pet them and cuddle them and kiss them and then feed them the same poisonous food. But now, as a result of that experience of happiness, they made chemicals inside their brain and the body that turned the cholesterol into a completely different metabolic pathway. So it's not just the food you eat, but what your awareness, what your consciousness and your state of emotions is at the time you're eating. Your state of mind can convert nectar into poison and the other way around too, poison into nectar.
So I have two opposing theories on this. One, I do believe in blessing your food. So even if, you're just getting the scraps of the pig, you bless your food, you know what I'm saying? By praying to whatever God you serve. Maybe, he'll take away all the things that will in turn create a negative effect in your body from that food. That's my first opinion. Second opinion though is I wonder if this is something that's said just in case people are starting to not buy all of these lab made foods and everything like that, all these GMO foods. I wonder if this is just one of those snuff pieces to kill those opinions and thoughts and get people to just go in the grocery store and buy whatever. But that's just me.
We are actually living in 1726. In 1991, a German historian by the name of Hermann Illig proposed a theory called phantom time hypothesis, suggesting that the years 814 through 911 AD never happened. Well, you see, Illig claimed that these years were actually made up by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII by altering documentation and converting the Gregorian calendar in order to fast forward time to the sacred year 1000 AD, as Otto's ruling that starts on the millennial year 1000 AD would sound much better and be more legitimate. This theory is further backed up, as while there are written documents, there seem to be a lot of missing artifacts from those 297 years. Looking at the example of how Tartaria was written out of existence, it seems like it really wouldn't be that hard for the elites of the world to rewrite history, and just maybe.
Well, since I am not old enough to know if that's true or not, I will just speculate. If you raise a kid to only receive things that you teach them, the whole world for them becomes everything that you taught them, right? And like they said, Tartary was wrote out of existence. It was wrote out of history. People don't know. The Great Wall of China, probably the Great Wall of Tartary, just on how the towers are facing and they're facing inwards towards China instead of facing outwards away from China. A watchtower is supposed to be looking out, not looking in. But I'm not a historian.
What if history is just repeating itself, and Earth is just an infinite time loop? Everything that has and will happen to us as a civilization has already happened to previous civilizations many times before. But then, there's a big reset, and we're back to the beginning again. What's the point of this, you may ask? Well, it stops us from advancing too much, to the point that we can overpower those that are in control. Just think about the Tartarians, or even the Egyptians. Many of us believe that the buildings and structures built by previous civilizations are too good to be true. So what if the history books that tell us about these civilizations were altered to make us believe that they were less advanced, when in actuality, they were more advanced than us? It sounds crazy, I know, but just imagine. Look how easy it is to erase digital files and recreate scribbles in books. Imagine if the reason for us not being able to find certain scriptures of how things such as the pyramids were built is due to the fact that it was all stored on computers or online databases, thinking that it would be easier for future generations to access, when in reality, it would all just be erased.
Honestly, that's a theory that makes a lot of sense. Like, we have plenty of civilization artifacts that connect continents that you would not think people had the technology or the know-how to travel in between, but you would see the same artifacts and the same hieroglyphs in places where you just would not expect them. Like, they say that there's a cave in the Grand Canyon, and the cave has hieroglyphs in it. And then there's symbols that they found in the Aztec ruins that they also found in Egyptian tombs and stuff like that. So it's very possible that technology just as good as the technology that we use today has existed before. And due to the fact that we need to be kept in a state of only knowing so much, that whenever a great awakening happened in each of these, eras, there was a big plan to just wipe it all out, start back over. And some people still had the minds and the know-how to have an extra leg up once these civilizations started over again. So it's 100% possible, I would say.
There's 28-day moon cycles, and there's 13 per year. So when you think of your calendar and you have 12 months, where is the missing month? Because you have 13 moon cycles per year, so where is the missing month? It's something we don't think about. You have 13 28-day moon cycles, but you only have 12 months in a year. Where is the off month? And this is why when I say connecting to the moon energy, you can see that the same cycle happens every single time. So where is that month that we're missing? And then you start to say, well, what season are we actually in then? Because if we're always missing basically a month all the time, then that would mean our timeline is very incorrect, or our calendar is very incorrect as well. And as somebody just said, we switched to the Gregorian calendar and we messed up all our cycles. Yes, we did. And that's the thing. We don't even know what day or year we are in. This is where it gets crazy. Someone could say, well, today's 2023. According to who? Who told you we're in 2023? And then, what month are we actually in? And if you create this confusion, you can then control the people, because they start to believe, well, I'm in 2023. Well, what happens if you were in 2023? Like 1023? Then what? You'd really start thinking things different. Because, if you start thinking about the calendar and now everything's thrown off, you'd start there and go, oh my gosh, wait a minute, this is what year we're in? Wait, what month are we in? And then we start going, oh, well, what season am I in? And then who created that up too? Who made up that number? You know, that's the other part. You sit there and go, maybe, what happens if we're in like 5046? You know? And then you sit there and you think you're still driving a car with 20 miles to the gallon in 5046.
So he makes a couple of really good points. The first good point that he made was the fact that if we're going by the moon cycle, which is every 28 days, we would 100% have 13 months. And if I did the math correctly this fast, that's around 364 days. On top of that, just a side note, aren't women's menstrual cycles, like, don't y'all get y'all's periods like every 28 days or something like that? So then it would make sense if it doesn't fall on the same date every month, because all months don't have 28 days. For some reason, they added 3 more days to some months, 2 more days to some months. February gets the 29th every 4 years. For what? Like, why? Like, why are we doing that? If you had just a regular, normal calendared month based on the moon, you literally have 13 equal months, give or take a couple hours. So it does seem to not make any sense why they would do all of this daylight savings, all this freaking, let's add 3 days to August, but let's only keep February 28 days, and then January is going to be a 31st. Like why? Just why? And if you went to the 13-month calendar and you kept it on just moon cycles, think about how much easier it would be to figure out exactly what day and what year we're supposed to be in, because it all happens in the same time in the same pattern of the moon. I think this is something we should research, because we change a lot of standards for no reason, like the metric system. Like, why are we the only country, or one of the only countries, that follow a whole different system than the metric system? It just, like, it doesn't make sense. And Henry Ford, that 40-hour work week, you're going to see me about that one of these days.
This is so wild. Have you heard of the theory about people with messy rooms? You know how parents are always telling their kids you have to clean your room, and they get mad at them for staying up late. And parents are always saying, if you have a messy room, you won't be able to get a job in life and you won't be successful. What if I told you that the parents are the ones that are wrong? So multiple research studies have been done by scientists at the University of Minnesota, where they found that people with messy rooms and people that stay up late are actually more intelligent than the average person, and they have a higher IQ. People who have messy rooms subconsciously just leave things messy and unorganized because it sparks their creativity. It makes them rely on their memory, like where everything is, and it's actually traits of a genius. It's also found that people with higher IQs go to sleep later. So like they stay up till like 3 or 4 a.m. because it takes longer for their brain to like relax and shut down because they're constantly thinking. I so wish I knew this as a kid. I would be telling my mom this all the time. Ha ha ha.
Well, that's very interesting. All I can say is, as a diagnosed neurodivergent with a mental IQ test score of 191, my house is messy most of the time. But I have also started to acquire a very neat state of mind that helps me think a lot better. I don't know if there is a connection between people who are messy and higher IQs. Research shows that there is a correlation. All I will say is it checks out.
Can we talk about the fact that Nobel Prize winners actually proved reality isn't real? In 2022, physics Nobel Prize winners literally proved the universe is not locally real. Basically what that means is if you're not looking at an object, it does not exist. Einstein used the example like, oh, does the moon not exist just because you're not looking at it? And the answer is quite literally, no, it does not exist if you're not looking at it. Nothing is locally real. It only comes into fruition through observation. The universe is quite literally the universe. You create the universe. And we know this. And I know some of you are going to comment like, I've known that since it came out, but the vast majority of people, like, this is not common knowledge, I feel like. Like, for how crazy this discovery is, we are not talking about this nearly enough or the implications of it. You quite literally create your reality by observing it. Nothing exists unless you observe it. And that is so exciting because why don't we spend our time just observing the things we want to see? I feel like sometimes we get so bogged down in our stories. Oh, I can't do this because it's this. Oh, I'm too scared to do that. Oh, I can't break out. Guys, nothing is real. We can do anything. We are like the main characters in a video game. We can go on any adventure. We can do anything at all because nothing exists till we do it.
I think the amount of people hit by straight bullets a year and the amount of people who are sucker punched in the back of the head can automatically call this opinion super cap. Like, there's so much stuff that I choose to not think about and not observe, and it still ends up in my mother way. Like, no, like, I don't. That's one that I'm gonna just shut down right there. Like, you don't have to be a theoretical scientist or anything to understand that that is absolutely bananas of an opinion. Sorry.
There are so many NPCs among us in our society, it's insane. I was just at the gas station getting a Red Bull for the night, and the person in front of me was ordering lottery tickets. You figure when they get up to the cash register, they'll pick out their lottery tickets, purchase them, and move on. No. The guy took 4 or 5 minutes to look through each individual lottery ticket. Are these the $5 ones? Is this one $1? Is this one 50 cents? And he held up a line of 10 people just trying to buy a Red Bull or a tank of gas to pick out his lottery ticket. The sad part is most people in our society are like this with zero social awareness, and they'll hold up everybody around them, be a disturbance, and slow down people's days, and they have no clue that they're doing it. As soon as you pick up on this and look around, you'll realize that most people are sleepwalking their way through life. Lights are on, but nobody's home. You go to the airport at TSA, no one can find their ID. They're fumbling for their bag. You go to the grocery store, nobody has their credit card out on time. You go to a concert venue or a sporting event, everyone's rushing to one gate, while the gate right next to it has 2 people in it. Everyone follows the herd. No one thinks for themselves. If you can think for yourself and think critically and have street smarts, you will be ahead of 99% of people in this population. And it's sad to see, but it's the truth. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to have the best grades or the best test score or have gone to the best college. If you have a little bit of street smarts and a little bit of social awareness, you will be one of the top 1% most successful people in society. And phones make it even worse. Look at how many people are glued to their phones like this in public. It's astounding. Social awareness, nobody has it. NPCs are everywhere.
I 100% believe in the NPC theory, and I will explain why. Just like he said, you go to the airport, you know for a fact that these TSA officers are loudly telling you what you need to have out, why you need to have it out as soon as you get to the registration point, to the checkpoint. They tell you, have your ID out. Da, da, da. Do you know how many people get up there and they still have to be told that when these people were yelling this for 30 minutes at the top of their lungs? Then you have the research that has been shown about the percent of people that don't have an inner monologue. Like, you know how you talk to yourself, like inside your head, like you have a voice? Like, some people, they call it like the think before you speak factor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can literally have a conversation in your head with your inner self, you know what I'm saying, your soul self, and you can come to a better conclusion on what you're about to do. There are a high number of people in the world that do not have that. Like, it's literally, it sounds like this in their head. It sounds just like that. It's wild to me. And then there's also the quote, common sense isn't really that common. 100%. I think if I had to just make a guess off the top of my head, probably 30% of the entire world has common sense. It's not actually common sense. It's not common. Like, it's a rare thing for people to be able to actually use their brain. And I became a lot more patient with my environment, with my surroundings when I realized that. But at the same time, when you realize how many people are default followers and they have to be led, you have to be real careful about having that perception and the types of people that you have that perception about, because it'll turn you into a supervillain very, very fast.
Have you ever heard of
What?
the everybody is dead theory?
Oh, the all of us are dead? Or
No,
everyone?
everybody is dead theory.
I think
have you
I
heard
have,
about
but
this?
tell me.
So there's a theory, right?
Yeah.
You know how the world was supposed to end in like 2012?
2012.
Everybody was like, oh fuck, we're gonna die, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a theory that we actually all did die in 2012.
Yeah.
And life right now, right? You know how people say when they die, their life flashes before their eyes? But to them, it flashes and it's almost like they perceive time differently.
Oh, yeah.
So what if everybody died in 2012 and we're all experiencing life through a flash, right? But this flash feels like however long, 80 years, right?
Yeah.
But really, it's just happening within like a millisecond.
Within a millisecond, yeah. And then somebody's like presses the button and we just all wake up to nothing.
Yo, there's this crazy TikTok I saw too.
Okay.
So there's this lady, she was talking about how
I'm gonna have to call cap on that, because if the flashing of my life had to involve every single time I had to get out at a stoplight, or all the nonsensical interactions I've had out in public, I'm gonna have to talk to God, because I have a whole lot more important things that should be flashing before my eyes while I'm dying. A lot more important.
film she brought over that night. People were like darker, like that kind of, you know, but it's a great thing to be able to like see everybody's sex, like just sexuality. But it's so weird when you just. I had like the most amazing compromising pictures of people.
A nipple clamp, 3 total revolutions. 1, 2, 3. Ouch!
What do you mean by that? 3 whole revolutions? Like the twisting of a nipple or something?
Yeah, 3 full times.
I only saw that one she brought over that night though.
And then dripping candle wax on.
My snake, I had to try to kill it. Incorporate it. Yeah, why? But especially like, or you know, those ones that have it.
Well, I'm gonna be real tiptoey about this. The reason I believe in the Illuminati is because of the amount of people that go above and beyond to try to make it seem like it's some kind of inside joke within Hollywood. When you have people who can sneak videos like this out and you can line those up with the secret societies that we do know about: Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove, Belizean Grove. We have 100% evidence that these societies exist. Now, we already knew the Knights of the Templar existed too. We already know Freemasonry exists. Now, if you have all these secret societies and you say, oh, we're not really up to anything, it's just, something just for general exclusivity, just to have people meet up and just do things that we cannot tell you about. Why would you not put 2 and 2 together to come to a very, very understandable conclusion that maybe this is just real? How real? We'll never know, because people that search for answers never get them. Or if they get them, you'll never hear about it or them again. That's all I'm saying. That was it for today. Tune in next week. Gonna get weirder.